my light. You are my water.
Hi guys, Marina is here. Hello from beautiful New Zealand. I just wanted to send you a brief update. We'll try to make it as brief as I can possibly make, because a lot have happened within this few months. What am I here? December, January, February, March. Oh, only 4 months. I've been here only 4 months. As you know, I moved to New Zealand because of a relationship. I've been in a relationship for a long time, about 3 years, and moved to New Zealand to pursue the relationship. Well, the relationship ended 2 months ago, and I had to decide whether I am going back to US or staying here until the end of my visa. That was a difficult decision because I did shift all my life to New Zealand, thinking that I'm going to be here for quite a while, and only within 2 months going back, I didn't think it was a good idea. So I prayed and I talked to God about it, and basically I decided to give it a try and stay here until the end of the visa term. I'm on the working holiday visa, and I moved from Auckland to South Island, and that was a very big desire that I had, is to see South Island, being closer to the mountains. I grew up in a very mountainy area in Tajikistan, and I really wanted to be closer to the mountains for this season. So and that's where I am right now. I am living in Clinton. Clinton is a very small town, approximately 300 people. So Clinton is located, just to give you a brief idea, just to give you an idea, it's approximately 2.5 hours west of Queenstown. Queenstown is a very well-known area of New Zealand, very popular for tourists. So that's where I am at. So my journey here all the way to South actually is filled with miracles and divine appointments and God's provision. So many amazing things happened, and it was quite difficult, but it also was very good. Emotionally, physically, financially, basically every single area pretty much of my life was a huge challenge. But God pulled me through, and He taught me so much through this period. Just in a nutshell, I couldn't stay in Auckland because of a way of living here. It's very high, and I could only do pretty much minimum wage jobs. I worked as a caregiver for a caregiving facility, and it was an amazing job, but very, very difficult. Some of you know that I am challenged with fibromyalgia, so of course very physical, tough, non-stop, stressful jobs. A bit difficult on my emotional well-being and physical as well. So, however, I've been working as a caregiver, but that wasn't enough for me to keep providing for my family, because I still provide for my sister Zarina, my two nephews, David and Denise, who are still very young, and I do help my brother, mainly just to help him get back on his feet, but he's capable of providing for himself, but for the most part. So that was challenging because of cost of living very high, so I had to move from where I lived, and I really didn't had a place to go. And my first miracle, not really my first miracle, there were so many, but my first miracle was when people who hardly knew me let me stay at their place for 5 weeks, and I only paid $40 a week, which in Auckland it's impossible. It's $200 a week normally for rent, and they let me stay for $40 a week. It was amazing, and they're a Dutch couple, believers, and it's been just great provision, but also was very good to stay with them because because, you know, especially a lady, Yose, her name, she just, she's such a fighter, so she taught me a few things, so it was cool. And I mean, when I say a fighter, she doesn't live a mediocre life. She's a prayer warrior, so it's good to stay with them. And a few days before I had to leave, and I still didn't have a job. Well, at that point, on the 24th of February, I had a huge accident, and I was walking on the shore when the tide was out, and I slept and felt on the rocks. It was filled with algae, and I had mild concussion, and my knee got dislocated, and as it was dislocated, and as I was in the air, falling down, hitting my head, and, you know, hitting my knee back into place, and I was pretty much in the middle of this place. There was no way for vehicles to get to me, basically. So I was laying in the puddle of ocean water and crying as hard as probably the first time I've ever cried that hard, and I've been in a lot of pain before. That pain was excruciating. So half an hour later, I recovered, and I was able to crawl to the place where where a friend came and picked me up. The rest is history. But I couldn't work. For 2 to 3 weeks, I was off work with no income. I mean, it was crazy. But I was slowly but surely recovering, and 2 to 3 days before I had to leave, had no place, no job, I got a job. And I got a job like down further south, still in North Island, but further south, about 4.5 hours in a city called Rotorua. So I was able to move to another place and start working. And and this lady, this couple, elderly couple with whom I lived and paid $40 for 5 weeks, at the end of my term, when I actually already moved, they sent me a check. They were saving all this money they were paying for rent. So it was absolutely amazing and unexpected and very humbling experience. So the job that I moved in to Rotorua, that's a very interesting story, actually. It was a trial period for 2 weeks. I was working for a couple who were running a hostel, backpacker hostel, basically New Zealand packed with tourists. And there are places where you can stay, and there are going to be, you know, lots of beds, and you pay per bed, and you stay there, and there's a kitchen available. So this couple that were running this business, they were living literally at work, and they had a little girl, 3-year-old, and they were needing someone to look after their girl and cook for them, and etc. So I started working for them, and at the end I had to leave, but it was a very good learning experience, because they could have not been any more different. They were, you know, had completely a different lifestyle. Just in a nutshell, the music would start from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. Booming techno, DJ kind of club, pub kind of music, and, you know, young people coming in and out, smoking, drinking, partying. The owners themselves were constantly smoking marijuana and drinking, and so crazy, right? I got into the environment and I was like, whoa, what in the world? And but I decided to stay, you know, give it a shot, and I had really good days and really miserable days. Good days, it's where I loved a little girl, definitely. Well, as much as you can love a child that you never knew before, you know, she's a child, but no boundaries, the whole world revolved around her. That was quite difficult, and I was asking God, okay, where do I fit? How am I supposed to fit in? And so that was challenging. However, some amazing things happened while I was there. First of all, those hostels are the best mission ground. Let me reiterate, those hostels are very good mission ground, because you have all these young people there that are, of course, it's all about me. I'm traveling. It's, you know, I'm having a good time. I'm spending all this money. It's all about me. Yet in those moments, you're still able to connect with them and talk about God. And I had some amazing conversations, and some Israeli passed by as well. I made a very good friend, actually, a guy from Israel who never want to go back there, and I still keep in touch with him and talk from time to time. And so yeah, there was a good place to reach out. And at the end, I ended up praying with a couple of people, and one girl that I prayed for cried. And you know, I'm staying in touch with her, and hopefully we'll be able to actually get her out of there and bring her here where I'm at. She's staying at the hostel and working for accommodation. You can do that. You can come and work for accommodation a couple of hours a day, and then the rest of the time you do wherever you want. And that's where I got the idea of mission fields. You can literally come to places like that packed with young people, work at the hostels. They're all over New Zealand, and stay there for free. You're not going to have, it's a different kind of environment, of course. Every hostel is different, and you're not going to have your own bedroom, and you share the showers and the kitchen, and that's the beauty of it, because that's how you connect with people. So I was able to connect with some people and still maintain relationships. So that was good, but in a way it was also a difficult environment because it was just chaotic. And my prayer was, okay, God, I'm committed, and I'm sure you brought me here for a reason, but I'm miserable in a way. I could never rest. You never get a full 8 hours sleep. You get maybe 4 hours of disturbed sleep, and yeah. Anyway, so this relationship ended. It ended good, thank God. But and I'm not going to get into details. There is no reason for that. But when it ended, I again had no finances, no place to go. And God is amazing, and I met this when I left Auckland. I had kind of I met with one of my friends, with my former landlord, actually, when I was in New Zealand 2 years ago, and I stayed at her place. She was my landlord, and we became good friends. And then when I was leaving, the night before, we met for dinner at her home, and she had another roommate that I connected, and she says, oh, you go to Rotorua, let me give you contact of my aunt. So long story short, when I came to Rotorua, I connected with the aunt. She invited me for dinner. Her name is Heather, just beautiful believer, and she introduced me to other couple of girls who were believers. We ended up being friends. Within a couple of days of being in Rotorua, I already had 4 friends, believers. So when the relationship with work ended, they said, hey, come and stay with us. So I ended up living with them for a whole week and made this incredible life friends, especially this one particular girl. Her name is Angelique. She's from South Africa. Basically, her name, I used to have older sister. One thing you didn't know about me, I never really talk about her because she died while mom was pregnant with me. And she was about 2 years old. And I think when I was born, she would have turned 3. So she would have been 33 now. Her name was Angelique. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, like none of us, right? We more Persian looking. So that girl that I met, blonde, blue eyes, Angelique, she could have been my sister, and she was the same age. So it was, in a way, healing, and we just connected on such a deep level. She so encouraged my walk with God, and it was incredible. It's hard to explain. Being there drew me even closer to God. She gave me her bedroom, slept with almost slept with her other roommate in her room, and they fed me. They just were driving me to places so blessed me and impacted my life. It was incredible. And while I was in Rotorua, I also went on this amazing redwood hike, which is about are you bored yet? Anyways, you can fast forward it or just close the video if you're tired of me talking. But I went on this, there is the redwood in Rotorua, amazing forest, and there is a 34k hike, and you will see in the video. I went on this hike and I got lost in the forest by myself without compass and no reception. And the reason I didn't take compass, because in the instructions they said, oh, the track is so very, very well maintained and marked, no need to take compass, and I didn't. And but I had enough food and enough clothes for me to, in case of an emergency kit and stuff like that. But I forgot my matches. So anyways, halfway through the forest, it started pouring down rain, and it started getting dark in the forest, and I had a map, I was following a direction, marking, and I got lost. And actually I got out just in time. I got out on a state highway and managed to find my way different way, but if I would have not gotten the state highway, who knows? Being in the forest at night, there's nothing dangerous, but it's cold, it's raining, so I feel like it was God who kind of led me out of there just in time. So that was amazing, and I was doing all of that stuff with my knee damaged, but I kind of trying to my quadricep got so weak, and I was overcompensating with my left foot, that by the end of day of that hike, I did about probably 30 k's actually. I couldn't walk for 2-3 days. I could walk, but I barely could touch my thigh. I was in so much pain, and I was too ambitious, because the reason I was even doing this hike and training, because I wanted to do a really huge mountain hike, alpine. I forgot again. Tangaria Alpine Crossing, which is through the mountain. I didn't end up doing that. It's in not far from Rotorua. So anyways, a couple of days later, I decided to go south, and I still didn't really had a place here, job here. It was very very scary decision actually. So I had my backpack. I went and I bought sleeping bag, and I wanted to buy a tent and just hitchhike down, but I decided to take a bus instead with advice of some wise people. And the night I was leaving Rotorua, I'm sitting on the bus station at 11 o'clock at night, and Angelique, my friend, who taking me down and were waiting with me, beautiful, amazing woman. And I get a text from a man who I interviewed in Auckland, who wanted to offer me a job, but didn't have enough hours, and we ended up having like 2-hour interview, but he didn't end up hiring me. That's fine, and kind of I forgot about him. I'm getting text from him. He says, hey, can you come back to Auckland to work for me? I have a job for you. I was like, I'm actually heading down south, and no, I'm not coming back to Auckland. He's like, south where? And I told him that I'm heading here, Gore. He's like, Gore, there's nothing out there, why are you heading there? But he's like, anyways, I have a brother in Christchurch. I had to stop overnight in Christchurch. It's a city, by the way, okay? It's not a church, it's a city in South Island. He's like, I have a brother, he can meet you and help you out of it. And it was amazing. It was a night I was leaving Rotorua, and long story short, I ended up, taking a bus. It's a 2.5 days, almost 3 days to get from North Island, where I was, all the way to here. And I ended up having stayed somewhere for free, and then I was fed, and then that his brother phoned the family here, where I'm here right now, and said, hey, a family friend, first time he met me, coming down south, help her out. the family here met me at the bus station, brought me home, gave me a place to stay, gave me food, helped me look for jobs. Long story short, I finally got a job that I'm starting in May. Meanwhile, I actually can stay at the farm and do a little bit of work for them, and then they for accommodation and food, and they even gonna give me a little bit of cash. And they just amazing people, and these people are not church-going folks. They just have these incredible values. They take care of each other. God teaching me so much about families. They have 2 little kids on both sides, grandparents, so many relatives, so much love and care. It's incredible. And they found out that I helped my family, and they just respected so much. Every time Martin introduced me to someone else, and talking about the jobs and he always mentioned that he's like, she's very family oriented, and this is what she does for her family, and we gotta help her out. And it's so humbling. It's so humbling, I can't even tell you. So this is just a nutshell how God been using people and opening doors and providing, and brought me to this incredible place where I am learning so much. And I'll send you more videos of things that I'm learning about a farm life. And for this season, I could have not been in a better place, and I am so grateful that I decided to stay. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Just yesterday, I had such a hard time. I was in tears, and I missed home, I missed Kansas, I missed my family, and I was tired of not having my own bed to sleep and just being all over the place, and it seemed like it's chaotic. But then I look and I'm amazed at what God is doing in my heart, the people that I meet and friends that I make, and the ability of sharing God's love and only rarely using my words. Just by, even today I was working for them, I was painting the fence, and I put so much love and care into things like that I'm hoping that just my presence here would be a testimony of God's character. And anyways, I'm just verbally processing now, because there is so much been going on, so much happening. Even when I was planning the trip to South Island, I remember I was sitting the couple of days before and trying to figure out the ferries and the buses and connecting them without spending tons of money to staying in every single city and paying for accommodation. And I at some point, and Angelique was helping me, I was just like, I can't do it. I'm so exhausted. I want to quit. I want to go home. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go to bed. An interesting thing, every time I get to that point, I need to go to sleep. Once I wake up, things are much better. And so next morning I woke up, too loud. I woke up, opened my computer, within 15 minutes I booked my whole trip. And Angelique looks at me shocked. It was like Holy Spirit was just like boom, 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 boom. You know, he's an organizer, totally. And I had all my buses booked. I had my ferry, and it took me 2.5 days to get here. But it was incredible. Even the trip here, some of the stunning sceneries and conversations and people, I was able to witness and pray for the brother who provided the accommodation and food, who totally has very different ideas about God. Some of the ideas they heard about creation, God just blew me away. And this is part of my growing and maturing experience, definitely. And this is actually also one of the main reasons why I'm staying here, because it is getting out of my comfort zone and expanding my boundaries,
You are my
de-stressing, hopefully, learning, maturing, healing.
You are my water. You are my sustenance. and there is no other. You are my light,
You shine into my darkest darkness.
you are my water,
You cover me like you cover the earth.
you are my sustenance.
Without you, I can't go no further.
And there is no other.
There is no one like this God I know.
Oh my God, you are my God, there is no other one like you. Early in the morning I will seek and I will find you. My only survival plan in this weary land is to put my weary soul in your hand. Oh my God, you are my God.